Welcome to another episode of the Online Prosperity Experience podcast. You're about to hear your host, Prosper Taravinga's powerful digital marketing strategies and actionable tactics that you can use right now. Prosper has helped more than 50,000 people from over 10 countries to create meaningful businesses that are profitable and enjoyable. Listen to this podcast so that you too can build your own business with less stress and overwhelm. Let's get started.
Here are some copywriting tips that will help you create copy or words that actually sell. You've heard the statement or the cliche that content is king, but does all content come equal, or is all content created or written equally? If ever you've ever wondered why some content can bring more leads and some can't, then you should be aware of the concept of copywriting and why it is very important, because copywriting is good for you as a coach, consultant, and small business owner, because it does help you get more visitors to your website, and it also helps convert them into interested, from interested onlookers into paying customers. It's not everything that we say, it's how we say it, and it's not everything that we write, but it's how we write it. So from telling your own unique story to actually converting, onlookers or visitors into paying customers, copywriting is going to be one of the things that you need as a skill or as a tool for you to have a business that's profitable and enjoyable. So you might be thinking to yourself, why is copywriting important? Because copywriting is basically putting words on your website that help to sell your concepts. It gives a better representation and an understanding for the actual niche that you're serving, and it actually creates and builds a better brand image. So if you're one of those people that just thinks, you know what, I will write my own words, I know my industry more than anybody else, then you might be missing out on a way that actually provides a better way to communicate with an audience and actually converts and increases sales on your website. So I've got a question for you. Have you actually ever had somebody do copywriting on your website? Because if you're not, then you should know that copywriting actually attracts new customers through improved search rank, as content is a heavily weighted factor in SEO. So if you're doing it by yourself, you might be very proficient in, what you do, or, you might only be using words that pertain to your industry, but you might not be actually talking or communicating with your actual audience. All right. So given what we've just put out as an introduction there, I want to maybe give you 10 copywriting skills and tips that will actually rock your digital marketing. Because when it comes to boosting your online business, choosing the right combination of digital marketing tactics actually spells the difference between your success and the failure of your business. And there are many options out there from which you can choose from. And, there's so many resources that you can dedicate, yourself to marketing. But if you actually master the art of writing words that sell, you will be able to be above, your competition. All right. So like some of the coaches and consultants that we work with, they come to us, you can get a whiz bang custom website designed for your business. You can hire the top SEO services to increase your presence, or you can utilize the best social media platforms to reach, a wider and bigger or global audience. Whatever your choice, we all know that content marketing is still king. So you must create valuable content on a consistent basis if you actually want to succeed. And that's the reason why I really want to share with you these content writing tips so you can get your content marketing efforts, up to scratch. But when you're using copywriting skills, either for yourself or your clients, it's also yet another way to ensure that your business is actually achieving the results that you want, because you control the narrative. Okay. Maybe if before we get started, let me actually just start by explaining what copywriting is. I've already spoken about why it's important, but maybe what copywriting actually is. All right. Because sometimes, when clients ask us to write, copy for them, they don't know what happens before a writer actually writes. There's this prevailing belief out there that when a writer is given a project's requirements, or, you tell them this is what my business does and this is what I'm expecting that you put out, they just fire up Microsoft Word and just start writing, and I mean, it makes sense in theory. You whip up a horse and then it starts running. It doesn't, and instead, need any charging up before it starts plodding along. And it's lame to think that maybe a copywriter would need to warm up or even get an understanding of what the project at hand is. So that's the misconception that a lot of people have. But this line of thinking can actually lead to believing things like, if somebody is tasked to write 500 words, it should take the writer not more than 15 minutes, even at a sluggish pace of, say, maybe 33 words per minute. But there's more to it than that, okay? If the only thing the writer needs to do is massage the keyboard for maybe 15 minutes, actually, it makes perfect sense. But more goes into producing really good copy, and the writing process might be actually, shrouded with a lot of ministry, all right? So by us explaining to you what copywriting is, I hope I'm going to waft away the smoke and smash a few mirrors, and also bring it back to life so you can get to understand in reality what the heck are writers actually doing before they actually start writing. Okay, do you think they're doing a lot of dilly-dallying, or doing finger warm-ups, or maybe doing a few hard drugs? Well, I can't speak for every other writer out there, but when you understand what copywriting is, then you would actually get an understanding of what it is that is actually being done to your website in the hopes of improving your business. So as we have established, copywriting is a practice of actually writing text for some purpose. Especially in digital marketing, copywriting should prompt readers to actually take a desired action, which is like maybe purchasing a product or downloading whatever you have on your landing pages. But however, copywriting has other purposes, such as maybe you're writing your ad copy, you're creating blog content, and other activities that support organizational goals. Maybe your email marketing should also, have a bit of copywriting in it. So copywriting is used maybe in advertisements, headlines, taglines, as well as online and offline landing pages. And because its main aim is to gather leads and close sales in a business context, it usually follows a certain structure, which is achieved by developing content that appeals to customers, and actually you're utilizing sales strategies that address their pain points. And any copywriting material that you put out there should actually include maybe a call to action, and at the end of its structure, it should drive visitors to take appropriate action. So if you can strategically develop, refine, and publish content that's able to build maybe your brand recognition and direct your customers to convert and actually purchase, you will definitely create a business that's profitable and enjoyable. You increase revenue, and you are growing your business and ensuring your ultimate survival. All right. So, what actually then happens, during that process, okay? When you write copy, you want to make sure that you're writing catchy headlines so that people can actually then read or click on whatever it is that you've written. Because any blog that's written out there, if the headline is not catchy enough, you are not going to attract an audience that is going to want to read that blog to start off with. All right. So how do you write catchy headlines? You need to have an idea of who your target audience is, and you need to have a clear message that you want your audience to actually grasp when they click on your material. So research is actually very important. When I say the word research, it makes a lot of people gag, but I want you to hear me out. You are so close to your business. You are immersed to your business. Like I was saying earlier on, that a lot of people say, I know my industry more than anybody else. But when you hire a writer or you hire somebody who's an SEO copywriter, they're likely not as close to your business as you are. So you want to consider a writer to be like an alien who just maybe crash landed in your lobby, and they need a few minutes to gather their bearings. Not a ton of time, but just enough to get answers, so that they have an understanding about maybe your product, your unique selling proposition, which is maybe your big why, and how your business actually communicates, especially if you've got maybe a set tone within the business already, or you've got a style that you already follow. Maybe you want to be professional, or you want to be playful, or you want to be in between, or you just want to be understood by your audience. And writers don't want to they just don't want their writing to stick out like a zebra in a band, in a band of wild horses out there, and it's got to fit in with your brand. So when somebody takes on the opportunity to be your copywriter, you need to avail to them all of these things that I've just mentioned, your product or your services, all these unique propositions, because they don't know your business as much as you know. And that's how they can then write those catchy headlines, which are one of the most valuable copywriting tools that people can actually get to attract your audience attention. All right. Now, one other thing that you need to provide your copywriter also needs to understand your competitors. All right, they need to understand them enough, but not to copy them. Okay, and that's quite important, because when you know how your competitors have maybe attempted to solve similar problems, the content that they then create, it actually then gives insight that will help your business do better and actually stand out. And last but not least, the research that your copywriter needs to do is they need to know your customer. All right, they need to know your target market, and they need to know what their pain is. They need to understand what it is that they're hoping to solve, with the products or services that you're selling. So all this research informs the strategy moving forward. And without it, you're at the whim of whatever is behind the keyboard or writing that brief. So you want to make sure that your copywriter has all this information in order for them to be able to actually write a sound headline, given the ammunition and the information that they now have behind the scenes. Okay. So after they have done all this research, they now need to build maybe or do a word party, so to say. I don't have a word for it. Or maybe build a lexicon, and you're probably sitting there going, a what? A lexicon? Yeah, it's a list of words that is used by your target market. How does your target market actually identify the problem that they have? Do these people, you see, I've got teeth problems, or I used to have teeth problems, but they were not, dire as in I couldn't sleep or it was a very big pain or not. It's just my teeth are growing in weird shapes. So I needed Invisalign, in order for me to align my teeth. I still have work to be done on them. So in the area that I live, there's a dentist that's just at the shops where we live there. And outside the dentist place, I usually walk past, the dentist, the dental practice there. And they've got a sign outside that says, "New patients welcome." Now, I'm not going around calling myself a dental patient. That's not how I call myself. So obviously, this dentist is going to miss out on a $5,000 job with whatever they do with Invisalign, and because of the terminology that they're using to call out to me. Yes, I know I need work done on my teeth, but I'm not a patient. All right. So your copywriter needs that list of words that is used by your target marketer, because a writer might also build, a list of words or industry terms or phrases as they relate to your brand. Maybe the why behind it all must be beautifully summed up in there, but in a nutshell. These words will help the writers get to the headspace of the people who want to buy from you. Because if you are not explaining the problem in the way that the customer is already explaining it, then you are not being part of the conversation that's already happening in the customer's head. And I bet you didn't know that concept exists. So that's the reason why you actually need a professional copywriter to help you out, so you can write those catchy headlines and you can take people out of the slumber they are, in order for them to buy book, whatever it is that you're selling. All right. And pretty much after that, you want to start brainstorming, or maybe starting off with a concept, of how you're going to present this information. A lot of people, stop at actually brainstorming, because, they don't tend to give ideas of a lot of value, but each idea is important. Okay. A lot of businesses would go out and pay a writer to write, but not to think. All right. That's the biggest problem that a lot of people also encounter when they're, reaching out to a copywriter. They're just saying, hey, I want you to write these things, but they're not giving them time to think. All right. So the copywriter would then have to come up with really unique, shareable blog post ideas, really unique, stories to, to relate to your audience. All right. No matter how talented or how creative, anybody is, brilliant content ideas don't just materialize right away. They need time to think. So sometimes it takes a bit of time, spent playing around with concepts to see if they actually gel before they actually find an idea that sticks. So good writers are actually ideas people, not just grammar Nazis or grammar nerds or people that are just sitting there typing away. All right. And once they've written out, they've done the whole concepting or brainstorming, they need to create an outline. And once you've got this idea, to roll with, it's time to bring these methods, the method to the madness of whatever it is that you've been doing. So outlines actually turn the chaos that a writer has been putting on paper into order, and actually gives a creativity roadmap showing you exactly where you are going. You can be involved in this part of the journey, or you can just let the writer be. But depending on the goals of the piece being written, the format can be really, really important. So maybe your input might actually be needed when needs be for this. And pretty much then after that, it's time for them to write. When they've brainstormed, they've come up with the concepts, all the words that need to be done, it's time to write, okay? With all those things finished, it's time to get writing. And this is usually the fastest part of the process. And this is when maybe you get the first draft, where the writer would then sit and revise and rewrite and rearrange just to get the best piece possible, all right? So when you're given an opportunity to have your say, when a copywriter has given you maybe an initial draft, be lenient, because remember, this is just the first iteration to all the ideas that were in their head, and knowing that they don't know much about your business, you want to also help them and nudge them in the right direction. And pretty much after that, they have to edit, they have to revise, and then discuss with you. So after this initial draft, there might be a few edits. They might just come and discuss, and then you might have a few additions or subtractions just to make sure that the piece has accomplished what it needs to do. And then pretty much all of these things really do take time, and all of that time needs to be accounted for and actually billed for at times. Or the writer may not be profitable in their business, and you won't meet them next time. All right. So, with all things equal, yes, you might be a good consultant. You might be really good in your training. You might be really good in your information. You might be really good in your expertise. but you might not have the actual words that sell your expertise. So this is why you need to leave this to professionals, all right? Because if you're hiring a home builder, you'd expect, or likely really demand that they take time to actually create maybe like a blueprint before they actually just start pouring the foundation and putting up walls, right? Likewise, before writers jump into writing, they actually need to build a blueprint from which to work from. And for writing that actually accomplishes what you need, what you need it to, it actually demands you to take time and put thought to it, because at the end of the day, all the stories that you're going to be putting in, all the facts, the statistics, the links, all of it has to make sense. Otherwise, if you don't organize your ideas, anything that you're going to be doing with your copywriting is just all going to be of note. All right, because you want to make copywriting a part of your digital marketing strategy no matter what. Everything that we're going to be doing, even if I put out this podcast, I need to write a good and compelling heading. I need to write a good and compelling, graphics or information around it. Otherwise, nobody's going to click on the link. All right. So an ideal outcome for your marketing strategy is maybe to have your website, your social media platforms, and other marketing assets speaking the same language. All right. So this means that you want to make all your business channels really copywriting friendly. Okay. And to do this, you want to start by laying out the foundation of your digital marketing plan. Like we mentioned earlier on, you need to have a blueprint, and a copywriter will be able to really do this on your behalf and then flesh it out with content which you can then use in and around your marketing to make it all speak the same language. And from there, it's quite easy for you then to develop a strategy for your content marketing goals, which then includes the actual use of copywriting tips that I've mentioned, and some of which are maybe having a consistent message, having consistent branding, having consistent style, in order for you to promote your product and your services. Now, with the right content about your business and the right content about your products and services, you are rest assured that all the marketing channels that you are going to be promoting your brand and also your product will be representing you in the right light there, without you losing a great deal of quality in the content that you put out there. And as a result, you're definitely not going to be missing out on any chance to market yourself, or create a business that's profitable and enjoyable out there, while actually adding value to, the lives of your audience and clients. Remember, we get paid in direct proportion to the value we put out in the marketplace there. And if people cannot understand what your stuff is really all about, then grand opening, grand closing. So one thing you want to bear in mind when you're writing digital marketing copy is to actually make copy that's effective in representing your brand and actually delivering that value that we're talking about to your audience. And without this strategy, it's really easy for your business to actually lose sight of your marketing goals and waste time in content creation that nobody's actually going to read or engage with. All right. And speaking of you putting content out there, you want to also make sure that you are keeping it relevant. All right. We work with a lot of coaches and consultants, and we're writing a lot of copy in industries that we're not really familiar with. But I know that an experienced copywriter knows that one can't successfully write copy that sells if they don't write content that actually speaks to your client's audience. So we are very well versed, with all this nuance that you gotta be speaking to people in order for them to react to the marketing, because no one responds to marketing that doesn't speak to them. So therefore, it is actually recommended that you tailor your content to your prospects and existing customers. And for you to achieve this, you can actually maybe combine your copy and then personalize it where your visitors, maybe in your sales funnel or in products that are fast-moving products or products that your customers actually find appealing. For maybe instance, your visitor was maybe on a page that features your speaking gigs, and you wanna offer other options in your inventory, maybe like a a book or an ebook that follows that speaking topic. So if the visitor puts the product in their shopping cart, or if they download the ebook, you want to send them an email to remind them about other products that they haven't added, or other products that they haven't engaged with. And this could mean that you want to focus on your readers when writing this copy. All right, think about your audience. What are they actually interested in? What language do they speak? Because good copywriting employs the best of SEO practices. But one of the great copywriting tips that I really want to leave you with is you want to use user intent in order for you to craft your copy. If you're not speaking directly to your audience or to the actual customer using the right words, then guess what? You are just spraying and praying with your marketing. Now, speaking of using the right words, one of the oldest tips for copywriting is to maybe refrain from using adjectives or jargon or adverbs to make maybe okay good enough. All right. Through your copy, you should actually cater to your audience. It's still a good practice to avoid words that indicate maybe uncertainty, such as may, maybe, or tried. And you want to use power words in conjunction to so that people are inspired to make an action. Because great copywriting really gives your words life. They're both engaging and they suggest movement. You want to bring product descriptions to life, using colorful, expressive language rather than sticking to physical descriptions. When somebody's reading your stuff, you don't want them to fall asleep. You want to wake them up and want them to actually get up and do something with the work that you have put out there. Okay. So I'm hoping that you can create great copy with these copywriting tips that I've just put together here. And you really should know that copywriting is a must-have tool for all aspects of your digital marketing strategy. Unfortunately, there are ways for you to actually start improving your copywriting skills, such as using stories, facts, and statistics, and the stuff that you're putting out there. Because if you include these copywriting tips in your entire digital marketing strategy, you're actually guaranteed that your efforts will stay relevant, to your prospects and whatever audience you have currently. And if you actually organize your ideas and you proofread your copy before you publish it, there's a great way for you to actually, help to achieve your business goals. Lastly, I want you to understand and know that it's important to know that copywriting skills that you're using in your digital marketing right now should continuously develop. Okay, look out for how other people are doing it and just keep monitoring maybe what your competition is writing, just so that your skills don't suffer, or that people are not just overlooking the stuff that you're putting out there. Because if you follow the tips that I've just outlined in this podcast, you're definitely assured that your digital marketing efforts will continue to survive their purpose to your business. And I want you to be telling your story out there in order for you to have a business that's profitable and enjoyable. Bye for now.
Thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions, let's continue the conversation in the Live Long Digital community. Become a Live Long Digital community member today. This community is for ambitious entrepreneurs and small business owners with the drive to take control of the future of their businesses and achieve huge success without stress and overwhelm. As you heard, Prosper can help you by teaching you marketing strategies that work. So look no further than the Live Long Digital community of entrepreneurs and highly successful business owners. Join our community today. Find us on www.community.livelongdigital.com.au. Network with other driven entrepreneurs and find the expert guidance you need to take your business to the next level. www.community.livelongdigital.com.au